Really looking forward to today's show. I love talking about 9-player football. We're going to go to Byron, talk about the Hall of Fame. John will thank a ref and give us his and the MSHSL's most valuable teammate of the week. This is Preps Today with John Millea. He's John Millea from the MSHSL. You can read his written work at MSHSL.org under John's Journal. It's fantastic stuff. You can hear his spoken word artistry here. This is TalkNorth.com. That's why to listen to this show or any show you like at our very large network. Subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. We want to let you know we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. And we want to thank our longtime sponsor, Pizza Barn in Princeton. Also, I'm going to throw out just a little shout out. My friend Scott Dayton, who runs Twilly Dining Galleria, they have a sale coming up. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later in the show. So, John, why don't we start in Byron?
The Byron Bears, Jim. I made my first ever visit to Byron High School. For people who don't know, it's just a little bit east of Rochester. So it's a football game. We did not do a show last week, so this was that Friday. And I went down to a football game, and I have friends, including some of my friends who work at the Rochester Post-Bulletin, other people down in that part of the state, had just raved about this stadium at Byron. And boy, were they right. I've been to tons of great high school facilities around the state, and I've thought about this now for more than a week. I think my top two are Forest Lake High School and Byron High School. They both are new. Byron was new last year, Forest Lake 2-3 years ago. They just have everything you'd want. And I've talked about Forest Lake Stadium previously on the podcast a couple of years ago, maybe now. But let me talk about what they have down there in Byron. Like I said, it's a year old, artificial turf, seating, I think, for around 1,500 people. And the school and the stadium, they're on the edge of town, the south edge of town. And if you're sitting in the home stands watching a football game, beyond the field, there are hills and trees and farm fields. And they tell me deer and pheasants are seen out there pretty often. And you'll watch the sunset as the game's going down, the sun setting. And it was a beautiful night when I was there. The press box is roomy. I'm sure the concessions are great, but I did not hit the concession stand because those super nice, friendly people from Byron treated me way, way, way better than I should have been. I had a 4-course meal, pregame meal, from a food truck. It's called the B-Town Bistro. You would never know this is anything but a highly professional food truck unless you were told that it's a student-run business. They have basically students in a culinary type class. They prepare the food, order food, get it all ready. Then students in like a business finance class, they run the finance of it. They're at the registers. It's really something. I'd heard about it. The food's phenomenal. So all I had, as soon as I got out of my car, I'm eating jambalaya. I'm eating corn chowder. Then they bring out a barbecue pork bowl that was phenomenal and a side of coleslaw. And then all the Diet Mountain Dew I could drink. There was also a gift basket at my seat in the press box with some Byron Bears gear. It was really something. Like I said, they went way overboard. But it's a phenomenal place. Bells and whistles. They got everything. A big digital scoreboard, just fantastic sound system. Basically, there's music played between every play of the football game. And the atmosphere down there is as good as I think I've seen on the high school level. And part of it was such a beautiful fall night, perfect. Nobody was wearing a jacket. It was just great. And when the Byron Bears take the field before the kickoff, a lot of places do this. They have the inflatable mascot head to run through. Well, they got a giant inflatable bear they run through with smoke machines going and music playing. It's really something. But the main reason I went down there, this was their Crush Cancer game. Most places have Tackle Cancer, which Randy Shaver does such a great job with. In Byron, they call it Crush Cancer. And all the money they raise stays in the community to help families in Byron who are dealing with cancer. And the opponent for this game a couple weeks ago was Holy Family. And their head coach is Dan O'Brien. We all know about his son, Casey, who's right now in his 8th 8th round with cancer. I talked to Dan the day before the game, and he thought Casey was going to be there. Casey's an assistant coach, but Casey had a chemo treatment 2 days before the game. But by golly, he was there, up in the press box on a headset. He's an offensive assistant. I had a nice chat with Casey at halftime. So the Crush Cancer efforts in Byron, they raised nearly $10,000, and basically they split it. There were 3 families in Byron who got some of the money, and they donated $2,500 to Casey and the O'Brien family, which is really something. It was just so special. The Byron coaches had special T-shirts they all wear with the Byron logo in colors, and it said, "In this family, no one fights alone." And they had the same exact T-shirts made for the Holy Family coaching staff, just in the Holy Family colors, with the same message. It was really something. So, thanks to everybody in Byron. They treated me much better than I deserved to be treated. But thanks mostly to everybody for doing so many good things for so many people. Byron, Minnesota is a special place. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and thank you for highlighting that and bringing us that news. Sometimes great things happen in small towns around the state, and we never hear about it. One of the great services that you and people who do what you do perform.
You bet. Thanks.
I want to let you know also, John mentioned Randy Shaver. Randy Shaver's now doing a high school football show. It's available on YouTube. It's always on talknorth.com. He does great stuff, and he continues to grow that show out. So check out that show as well if you like football. Also check out Mike Grimm's Go Gopher podcast. Dawn Mitchell does a great interview show with us. We had Chris Hawkey on last week. He was fantastic. Amy Hockert is going to be our guest this week. We got John Krasinski, Jeff Diamond, Roy Smalley, Lavelle Neal, Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta, Kevin Gore. We keep adding to the lineup. We're about to add some more shows to the lineup. Thanks. Check them all out, and we do appreciate it. Again, if you like the show, please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Let's get to 9-player football.
Yeah, I've been to TCO, the Vikings practice stadium, Jim, twice this fall, I think. The Vikings have done a really good job this year. They're having high school football games there just about every weekend. Some weekends they'll have 2, like a Thursday, Friday, or a Friday, Saturday. So I was there last week. This was a 9-player game. I'd never seen a 9-player football game at TCO. And the story here was how far away these teams are. Stephen Argyle and Norman County East, Ulen Hitterdall, both northwest Minnesota. Stephen Argyle is about an hour northeast of Grand Forks, and Norman County East about the same distance northeast of Fargo. So they're a long ways away. And they were offered the opportunity to play down here. They jumped at it. I did some math, which is always scary. I discovered that if you take the travel for both teams to get here and get home, how many miles, how much time, the combined for both teams is 1,300 miles and 19 hours on the highways for those two teams. So this is a big state, man. I don't know if people realize how big this state is, but that's amazing. And the Vikings, they help defray the travel costs. They also put each team up at the Omni Hotel. That's a short walk from TCO Stadium. And the teams kind of staggered their arrivals and departures. This game was Saturday night. Stephen Argyle came down on Friday. Went to another game, watched a game there Friday night, and then headed home after their game Saturday night. The kids from Norman County East, Ulen Hitterdall, they came down Saturday, got here about 3 hours before kickoff, played the game, spent the night at the Omni, and then were somehow sentenced to go watch the Twins' last game of the season before they headed home. So they saw a little bit of everything. And if anybody wants to read about Byron or that 9-player game at TCO, go to John's Journal on MSHSL.org. I had a blast with both of those.
Well, that's a very nice hotel, too. And the Vikings have done a lot of good works supporting Minnesota Aurora, high school sports.
Yeah.
Really cool. I've never stayed at that hotel, but I was over there working at an NFL meeting once. It's very nice.
It looked from the outside, it looks nice. I may never set foot inside. Why would they allow me to?
Yeah, they frisked me, but then they let me in on a very, very, very impermanent basis.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to the Hall of Fame. We do want to let you know we're coming from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We want to hear more about Jody Stay's Pizza Barn in Princeton.
I've got a little secret about the Pizza Barn. I'll get to that in a second here, but it's October. And the latest pizza of the month has been unveiled. It's the Oktoberfest pizza. That one starts with their famous homemade crust, then they throw on tangy barbecue sauce, sliced bratwurst sauerkraut, a mix of freshly shredded mozzarella and Swiss. They sprinkle on some black pepper. It's available all month for dine-in, takeout, take and bake, and delivery. Those famous Pizza Barn food trucks are out. Now, this is homecoming week at Princeton High School. They're going to host Hutchinson on Friday night. And we're talking here Tuesday, middle of the day. I believe I'm going to be in Princeton Friday night for this football game. And I may just arrive a little bit early. I'll talk to Jody and maybe try that Oktoberfest pizza right inside the Pizza Barn before I go to the field. But Friday night, you'll see a food truck at Princeton High School for that homecoming game, the unbeaten Tigers against the 3-3 Hutchinson boys. And Saturday and Sunday, if you're going to be at the world's largest pumpkin patch and corn maze in Foley, you're going to see a food truck both days from 11 to 6. That'll be awesome. And thanks again to our friend Jody Stay and everybody at the Pizza Barn. They take great care of you.
Thank you, Jody. Appreciate it. Twill in the Edina Galleria, Scott Dayton Shop has been sponsoring the network for a long time. I'm only bringing him up on this show. He sponsors other shows. I'm bringing up this show because we already recorded some of his ads earlier this week, and now I just got this notice from him. Friday, Saturday, October 11th and 12th, you're going to have one of the biggest events of the year, Peter Millar Trunk Show, discounts, free gifts if you buy some stuff. I wear a lot of Peter Millar stuff. It's stuff that's going to last you the rest of your life. It's better to buy the good stuff that will last you than just going through a shirt every year. I have stuff that I'm going to keep the rest of my year. So check out Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com. Now let's get on to the Hall of Fame and other notes.
Yeah, just a few short notes here, Jim. The Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association, they've announced their 2024 Hall of Fame class. This is a great group. Chris Fadness of Caledonia and Austin. I'm going to pronounce Jay's last name wrong. Jay Frydenlund of East Grand Forks, Wade Grindy of Spring Grove, Tom McDonald of Ely. Yes, that's one of Bob McDonald's kids. And Neil Steffes of Fertile Beltrami. That's a really high-quality group. Congrats to all of those soon-to-be Hall of Fame members with the Minnesota Basketball Coaches Association. I'll be at another Hall of Fame banquet this Saturday. I'm an honorary lifetime member of the Minnesota State High School Coaches Association.
Wow.
And they invite me to their Hall of Fame banquet every year. I'll be there this Saturday, and we'll talk about those Hall of Famers and how that went. We'll talk about that next week. Saturday, here's a cool note. Saturday was a big day for a couple of dual sport athletes at Windham High School. In the morning, these guys, Alex Gomez and Christopher Morales, each scored goals for the Windham boys soccer team in a win over Mankato Loyola. And later that day, they arrived in Wabasso to join the football team, and they both kicked extra points. How about that? That's a good day. You score a goal and you kick an extra point on the same day, two different sports. Way to go, Alex and Christopher. And our friend Emmett Keenan, who's been on this podcast, he's the longtime athletic director at St. Cloud Cathedral. He was honored after the Crusaders defeated Royalton in football on Friday night. The football team presented Emmett with the game ball, which was well-deserved for one of the best administrators in the state. Way to go, Emmett.
Excellent stuff. All right, two of our set pieces now, two things we'd love to bring to you as often as possible. Let's start with Thank a Ref.
Yeah, last Friday, Jim, I was at a football game in Norwood, Young America. The high school is Central High School, the Central Raiders. They hosted Cleveland. And I do what I do before games. When the officials come out, I'm generally on the field an hour before kickoff at least. So I'm chatting with the officials. I'm going to take a photo to post, Thank a Ref photo, and I see a familiar face. The back judge on this crew is Kelly Banya of Prior Lake. She's been working football games for quite a few years, and I wrote about her. I didn't know how long ago I wrote about her. I asked her, hey, Kelly, how long, when was that? It was 7 years ago, 2017, that fall I wrote about her. She's a veteran now, and it's great to see. I've mentioned female football officials several times this fall. There's a handful that I know of. I should get the numbers on how many we have around the state. But I thank that crew for everything they do to make the games possible, which is something we should all do. And speaking of Central High School in Norwood Young America, I hadn't been there in a long time. Last time I was there was a track meet on a cold spring day years ago. And I brought my bag of sunflower seeds from the car, planned to spit seeds during the football game. I walked from the parking lot around the school to the stadium. And by golly, they got a brand new terrific stadium with artificial turf. It's a show place, man. It's really good. And so the seeds remain unspit that night, but I'll find more grass. But yeah. And the Central Raiders, this is a very good football team. They're undefeated. They put a pretty good thumping on the Cleveland Clippers to go 6-0. And my main mission, I'm going to tease an upcoming John's Journal story. My main reason for going there was to get photos of Cleveland high school football coach Eric Hermanson, who has a really interesting and rare combination of jobs. He's the longtime head football coach in Cleveland, and he's also the longtime band director. That's a combination I don't know that I've ever seen before. Yeah. And I've known Eric, and I shook hands with him before the game, and I said, I am so dumb. I've been covering high school sports for 25 years. I've never written about you and your two jobs. So I'm going to go down next week to Cleveland for a volleyball match, which the pep band will be there. Eric will be leading it. I'll get some photos of him as a band director, chat with him, chat with some people. Should make for a fun story. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's a crazy combination.
It is. I know I can't think of the fellow's name. He's no longer with us at Osseo High School. The football stadium carries the name of a former football coach who was the choir director.
Huh.
I can't think of it, and he passed away a few years ago. But yeah, those are really rare. So good for coaches who are also music people. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing more about that. All right, for today, thank you for listening to TalkNorth.com. We're going to wrap up with John's most valuable teammate.
Yeah, this is the weekly award given by the Minnesota State High School League. We've got some really wonderful, most valuable teammates coming up this week. We're going to honor Aaliyah Rangard. She's a senior volleyball player at Canby High School. She plays libero for the Lancers and embraces that role despite the fact that passers don't receive much recognition in volleyball. As a team captain, she has a positive influence on her teammates by being not only supportive, but she genuinely strives to keep it light on the court by stressing to the team that they need to move on and not focus on mistakes. She's a true most valuable teammate. Congrats to Aaliyah Rangard of Canby High School.
Excellent. Great show, John. Great stuff. I appreciate it. Looking forward to hearing about some of these stories developing. Also looking forward. We're now getting into the heart of the football season, and we're not that far away from playoffs already.
No, we've got 2 games to go this week, and then next week is MEA week, so we'll have most of the games on Wednesday night, and then boom, we're in playoff mode for football. And we're already in the postseason for soccer and girls tennis, and yeah, we're getting there.
Beautiful. All right, good stuff, John. Thank you. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Jim.